Friends, my channel name is Indian Epic History. Search this channel name on YouTube and select playlist option for all videos. Otherwise, click the channel name below the video, then go to the playlist for all videos like Rama and Mahabharat Puran. This is Bori Critical Valmiki Ramayan book chapter 1 Balkanda 35. When the sage said this word, the brave Rama and Lakshmana applauded the account and spoke to the bull among sages. O Brahmana, you have recited a supreme account that is full of dharma. You should tell us about the eldest daughter of the king of the mountains in detail. You are capable of recounting divine and human origins in detail. What is what is the reason why the purifier of the worlds has three flows? Why is Ganga the one with the three flows, known as the best among rivers, or one who knows about dharma? What are the tasks that sea has performed in the three worlds? When the two Kukutsas address him in this way, in the midst of all the rishis, Vishwamitra, the store of austerities, narrated the entire account, O Rama. In ancient times, the great ascetic Shitikanta married. Having seen the goddess, he desired to have intercourse with her. 100 divine years passed for the god Shitikantha, O Rama, O scorcher of enemies. However, he still did not have a son. At this, with the grandfather at the forefront, all the gods were anxious. When an offspring is born, who will be able to sustain him? All the gods went and prostrated themselves before him. They said, O Mahadeva, O God of the gods, O one who is engaged in the welfare of the worlds, the gods have prostrated themselves before you. You should show them your favors. O supreme among the gods, the world will not be able to sustain your energy. Resort to the austerities of the Brahman. Unite with the goddess in that kind of austerity for the welfare of the three worlds. Withdraw your semen and energy. Protect all these worlds. You should not destroy the worlds. Maheshwara, the Lord of all the worlds, heard the words of the gods. He agreed to this. He again told all of them, I will restrain my semen and my energy within Uma, O gods, and the earth will be secure. However, the part of my energy that has already been stirred cannot be restrained. O supreme among the gods, tell me who is going to sustain this. Thus addressed, the gods replied to the one who has a bull on his banner, the earth will bear the energy that has already been dislodged. Thus addressed, the Lord of the gods released it on the surface of the ground. The earth, with its mountains and groups, was pervaded by this energy. At this, the gods again spoke to the fire god. Aided by Vayu, enter Rudra's great energy. It again pervaded Agni and created Mount Sweta. There was a celestial clump of reeds that was like the fire and the sun in complexion. Created from Agni, the greatly energetic Kartikeya was born there. The gods, with the large number of rishis, were greatly delighted and wholeheartedly worshipped Uma and Shiva. Uma means Parvati, I think. O Rama, however, the daughter of the mountain, so daughter of the mountain was enraged and her eyes turned red with anger. Full of intolerance, she cursed the gods and told them, I desired to have intercourse for the sake of a son. but you restrained me. Because of that, you will never be able to obtain offspring through your own wives. From today, your wives will remain infertile. Having spoken in this way to all the gods, she also cursed the earth. O earth, you will never possess one single form and will always be the wife to many. You will be trained through my rage and will never know any affection towards your sons. O extremely evil minded one, you obtained my son through you never wished for him. The Lord of the gods saw that all the gods were ashamed. She prepared to leave for the direction that is protected by Varuna. He went to the slopes of the northern mountains and performed austerities there. Through the powers of Maheshwara and the goddess, a summit was created there in the Himalayas. O Rama, I have told you in details about the daughter of the mountain with Lakshmana. Now hear about the origin of the Ganga. The story of Ganga. Chapter 36. In ancient times, the gods performed austerities in this way. At that time, the gods, with large numbers of rishis, went to the grandfather desiring a general. All the gods, with Indra and Agni at the forefront, bowed down before the illustrious grandfather and spoke these auspicious words: O illustrious one, in earlier times you gave us a general. However, with Uma, he is now resorting to supreme austerities and is scorching himself. Desiring the welfare of the worlds, you must decide on what should be done now. O one who knows about what must be done, you are our supreme refuge and must decide on a course of action. The grandfather of all the worlds heard the words of the gods. He comforted the gods and spoke these sweet words to them. O mountains, daughter has said that you will not have offspring through your wives. There is no doubt that her unswilled words will come true. However, through Ganga, with flows in the sky, Agni can have a son, and that destroyer of enemies will be the general of the gods. The eldest daughter of the Indra among mountains will welcome this son. There is no doubt that this will also find great sanction with Uma. O descendant of the Raghu lineage, means Rama, on hearing his words, all the gods, through that they had obtained success, they bowed down and worshipped the grandfather, O Rama. All the gods went to Mount Kailasha, with which is decorated with minerals. There they urged Agni to produce a son. O God, O fire god, accomplish the task of the gods. The great energy has so far been contained in Ganga. The daughter of the mountain released that energy. Pavaka gave this plague to the gods and approached Ganga. O goddess, to bring pleasure to the gods, please bear this in your womb. Hearing these words, she assumed a divine form. On seeing her great form, he sprayed without her person. Pavaka sprayed without the goddess and sprinkled her. O descendant of the Raghu lineage, all of Ganga's flows become full. At this, Ganga spoke to the priest of the gods. O God, your energy is extremely potent and I am incapable of bearing it. I am being scorched by the fire and my senses are distressed. All the gods and the fire gods spoke to Ganga. Deposit the embryo on the foothills of the Himalayas. O unblemished one, hearing Agni's word, Ganga released that radiant embryo in torrents of great energy. However, that flow, with the complexion of molten gold, was released in the Himalayas. The sacred ground became sparkling and golden. From the friction between the gods, copper and iron ore were also generated. The residue that was left became tin and lead. It is from this that the earth obtained many kinds of minerals. As soon as that embryo was flung down, the sprinkling energy created a golden group everywhere in that mountain or Raghava or Tiger Among Men. Since then, with a complexion like that of the fire, gold has been known as Jatarupa. When the son was born, Indra, with the large number of Maruts, engaged the Kritikas to provide milk for him. As soon as he was born, they took an excellent plague. He is our son. Having decided this, all of them gave him milk. Because of this, all the gods said, this son will be known as Kartikeya, and there is no doubt that he will be famous in the three worlds. The embryo that had been dislodged from the womb was exceedingly beautiful and blazed like the fire. On hearing these words, they bathed it. O Kukucha, the immensely fortunate Kartikeya was like the fire since he had been secreted from the womb. The gods called him Skanda. Excellent milk began to ooze out from the breasts of the six Kritikas, and assuming six faces, he fed on this. Having fed on this milk, he grew up to be a boy in a single day. Because of the Lord's valor, the soldiers of the Daityas found him to be invincible. With Agni at the forefront, the large number of gods assembled and consecrated the unblemished and radiant one as the general of the soldiers of the gods. O Rama, I have thus told you about Ganga in detail and about the blessed and sacred account of Kumbhara's birth. Next chapter 37. In a sweet voice, Kaushika told Rama about the account. He again addressed the following words to Kukucha. There was a brave king who was earlier the lord of Ayodhya. His name was Sagara and he possessed dharma in his soul. However, since he did not have any offspring, he desired offspring. In her beauty, Arishtanemi's daughter was unmatched on earth. She was known as Sumati and she was Sagara's second wife. With those two wives, the king went to the Himalayas to the mountain known as uh, Briguprasaravana. There, he tormented himself through austerities after the sage Brigu, supreme among those who uphold the truth, had been worshipped with austerities for 100 years. He gave a boon to Sagara, O unblemished one. You will obtain extremely great offspring, O bull among men. You will obtain unsurpassed fame in this world, O son. One of your wives will give birth to a son who will be extend the lineage. The other will give birth to 60,000 sons. Having shown his favors to the king's wife, this is what he told that tiger among men, extremely delighted. They joined their hands in salutation and said, O Brahmana, who will have a single son and who will give birth to many? O Brahmana, we wish to learn this. May your words come true. Having heard their words, Bhrigu, extremely devoted to Dharma, spoke these supreme words. This will be decided by you independently. Who wants a son who will be extend the lineage? Who wants many sons who are extremely strong, famous, and great in endeavor? Who wants which boon? O descendant of the Raghu lineage, O Rama, hearing the sage words in the presence of the king, Keshini desired a son who would extend the lineage. Sumati, Suparna's sister, wished for 60,000 sons who would be great in endeavor and famous, or descendant of the Raghu lineage. With his wives, the king bowed his head down before the rishi, circumambulated him. The returned to his own city after some time had passed, the elder wife Keshini gave birth to a son. This son of Sagara came to be known by the name of Asamananja. A tiger woman, Sumati, gave birth to a god. When this god was shattered, 60,000 sons emerged. Nursemaids nurtured them in pots filled with ghee and reared them there. After a long period of time, they become youths. After another long period of time, these 60,000 of Sagara's sons become handsome adults. O best among men, O descendant of the Raghu lineage, the eldest of Sagara's sons used to grab children and hurl them into the waters of the Sarayu. Having hurled them there, seeing them drown, he always used to laugh. Since he was engaged in injuring the citizens, his father banished him from the city. However, Asamanja had a valiant son named Amshumat. He was respected by all the worlds and spoke pleasantly to everyone, O best among men. After a long period of time, Sagara reflected and made up his mind about performing a sacrifice. Having thus made up his mind, the king, who knew about the Vedas, told his preceptors to begin the rites for undertaking a sacrifice. Next, chapter 38. Hearing Vishwamitra's words, the descendant of the Raghu lineage was supremely delighted. When the account was over, he spoke to the sage, who blazed like the fire. O fortunate one, I wish to hear about this account in detail. O Brahmana, how did my ancestor complete the sacrifice? Vishwamitra seemed to smile at Kukutsa and said, O Rama, hear in detail about the great soul Sagara, Shankara's father-in-law, is the supreme mountain known as Himalayas. He approached Mount Vindhya and the two glens at each other, O supreme among men, O best among men. The land that extends between them is a region that is praised for performing sacrifices. O Kukutsa, O son, following Sagara's words, Maratha, Amshumat, the firm archer, tended to the horse. On the auspicious day, when the sacrificer was going to undertake the sacrifice, Vashava assumed the form of a female Rakshasa and stole the sacrificial horse. O Kukutsa, when the great soul sacrificer's horse was stolen, all the large number of preceptors spoke to the sacrificer. This is the auspicious time. Quickly fetch the sacrificial horse, O Kukutsa, slay the thief and bring the horse. If there is a lacuna in the sacrifice, all of us will face something inauspicious. O king, therefore, act so that there is no weakness in the sacrifice. Hearing the words of the preceptors in that assembly, the king spoke these words to his 60,000 sons, O sons, O bull among men, I do not perceive any means for Rakshasas to make an entry. Extremely fortunate ones have sanctified this great sacrifice with mantras. O son, therefore go and search. May you be safe. Go to everywhere on earth, right up to the garland of the ocean. O sons, each of you search for the expanse of 1 yojana until you see the horse dig up the earth. On my command, seek out the horse and the thief. I have been consecrated with my grandson, O fortunate ones. Until I see the horse, I will remain here with all the preceptors. Thus addressed, the extremely strong princes were cheerful in their minds. O Rama, urged by their father's words, they penetrated the surface of the earth. O tiger among men, with arms that were like the touch of the Vajra, they dug it up. They used extremely terrible plugs and spears that were like the Vajra, or descendant of the Raghu lineage, thus shattered. The earth began to shriek. O Raghava, the serpents and the asuras were slaughtered, and so were Rakshasas and other invincible beings. There was a tumultuous roar, O descendant of the Raghu lineage. Those brave ones penetrated the earth for 60,000 yojanas right up to the excellent uh, Rasatala, Rasatala or Tiger Among Kings. Jambudvipa is guarded by mountains, and those princes dug it up everywhere. At this, all the gods, Gandharvas, Asuras, and serpents were terrified in their minds and went to the grandfather. With distressed faces, they shouted the favors of the great soul one, extremely scared. They spoke these words to the grandfather, O illustrious one, everywhere Sagara's sons are digging up the earth. Many great souled aquatic creatures are being killed. The one who has stolen the horse is destroying our sacrifice. Thinking these Sagara's sons are slaughtering all the creatures. Next chapter 39. The gods were extremely terrified and confounded by the strength of those destroyers. The illustrious grandfather replied to them, the entire earth is owned by the intelligent Vasudeva, and he eternally holds up the earth. He has assumed the form of Kapila. A long time ago, the shattering of the earth was foreseen, and so was the destruction of the sons of Sagara, who will not live for a long time. Hearing the grandfather's word, the 33 gods, the scourger of enemies, were extremely happy and returned to wherever they had come from. When Sagara's great souled sons shattered the earth, the great sound was heard like that of thunder. Having penetrated the earth, they circled it everywhere. All of Sagara's sons then went to their father and spoke these words, we have traveled through the entire earth and destroyed all the creatures, gods, danavas, rakshas, pisachas, serpents, and kinnaras. However, we have not been able to see the horse or the thief who stole the horse. O fortunate one, what will we do now? It is necessary to reflect on this, O descendant of Raghu lineage, hearing the words of his sons. Sagara, supreme among kings, was overcome by rage and spoke these words, O fortunate ones, dig the earth again and penetrate the surface of the earth. Search out the horse and the thief. Return only when you are successful. Hearing the words of their father, the great soul Sagara, the 60,000 sons rushed to Rashatala. They dug there and saw the Disha Gaja Virupaksha. He was like a mountain and held up the earth. O descendant of the Raghu lineage, the great elephant Virupaksha held up the entire earth with its mountains on his head. O Kukucha, when the great elephant is tired and wishes to rest, it is moves it moves its head and earthquakes result. O Rama, they circumambulated the great elephant, the guardian of the direction, having showed it honor, they penetrated the earth and went to Rashatala. They penetrated the eastern direction and again penetrated the southern direction. They saw a great elephant in the southern direction too. This was the great soul Mahapadma, and he was like an extremely gigantic mountain. Holding up the earth on his head, they were extremely astonished. Having circumambulated him, Sagara's great soul 60,000 sun penetrated the western directions. In the western direction too, those extremely young ones saw the Dishagaja's Somanasha, who was like a gigantic mountain. They circumambulated him and asked him about his welfare. They continued to dig and reached the northern direction, O best among the Raghu lineage. In the northern direction, they saw Bhadra holding up the earth. He was as white as snow, and his form was auspicious. All of them touched him and circumambulated him. Those 60,000 suns then penetrated the surface of the earth. Sagara's sons then went to the famous northeast direction. In great rage, Sagara's sons dug up the entire earth. They saw Kapila, the eternal Vasudeva there. The horse was also wandering around there, not very far from the god. Taking him to the to be the one who had destroyed the sacrifice, their eyes delayed with rage, asking him to wait. They angrily dashed towards him. You are the one who has stolen our horse and destroyed the sacrifice, O evil minded one. You should know that we, the sons of Sagara, have arrived. O descendant of the Raghu lineage, hearing these words, Kapila was overcome by great anger and uttered the sound of Hunkara. O Kukusha, the miserable and great soul Kapila, reduced all of Sagara's sons to ashes. Next chapter 40. Descendant of the Raghu lineage, when King Sagara saw that his sons had been gone for a long time, he spoke to his grandson, who was radiant in his own energy. You are brave and accomplished in learning, in energy. You are an equal of your ancestors. Go and search for your fathers and for the person who has stolen the horse. There are great and valiant beings in the bowels of the earth. To repulse their attacks, take your sword and your bow. Honor the ones and deserve honor, and slay the ones who cause obstructions. Return when you have ensured the success of the sacrifice, or cross over to the other side. Amshumat was thus properly addressed by the great soul Sagara. He grasped his bow and sword and departed. Dexterous in his valor, he proceeded along the path that had been dug up in the entire by his great soul fathers. O best among men, he proceeded, urged on by the king's words. He saw the immensely energetic Dishagaja, worshipped by the Daityas, Danavas, Pisachas, birds, and serpents. He circumambulated him and asked him about their welfare. He asked him about his fathers and about the person who had stolen the horse. On hearing this, the Disagaja was pleased and replied in these words, O Amshumat, O sons of Ashamanja, you will be successful and will swiftly return with the horse. As is proper, in due order, he then asked all the other Disagajas, hearing these words, all the guardians of the directions, who were accomplished in speech, honored and urged him with words, and said, You will return with the horse. Hearing their words, he proceeded dexterous in his valor. He reached the spot where his fathers, Sagara's sons, had been reduced to ashes. At this, Asamanja's son was overcome by grief, extremely miserable and severely afflicted that they had been killed. He wept. He saw the sacrificial horse wandering around not very far away. Full of sorrow and misery, the tiger among men saw it. To perform the water rites for the princess, the immensely energetic one scrounged for water but could not find a store of water. Casting his trained eye around, he saw the lord of the birds, O Rama. Suparna was like the wind and was the maternal uncle of his fathers. Binata's extremely strong son spoke these words to him, O tiger among men, do not sorrow. This slaughter has been sanctioned by the words. The immeasurable Kapila was burned down, these extremely strong ones. O wise one, therefore you should not offer them water through the normal water rites. O bull among men, Ganga is the eldest daughter of the Himalayas. That purifier of the worlds will purify these mounds of ashes. When the ashes of these 60,000 suns are sprinkled by the waters of the Ganga, beloved by the worlds, they will be conveyed to the world of heaven. O immensely fortunate one, O bull among men, sage the horse, leave this spot. O brave one, return so that your grandfather's sacrifice can be carried out. Hearing Suparna's word, the valiant and immensely illustrious Amshumat quickly saged the horse and returned. O descendant of Raghu lineage, he went to the king who had been consecrated and reported what had happened. He also recounted Suparna's word. Hearing Anshumat's terrible words, the king performed the sacrifice following the rites and observing the rituals, having completed the desired sacrifice, the king returned to his own city. However, the king could not make up his mind about how Ganga was to be brought. Even after a long period of time, the king could not arrive at a decision. Having ruled the kingdom for 30,000 years, he went to heaven. Next chapter 41. O Rama, when Sagara departed following the rule of time, the ordinary people wished to make Amchumat, who was extremely devoted to Dharma. O king, O descendant of Raghu lineage, Amshumat was an extremely great king. He had a great son who was famous by the name of Dilipa. O descendant of the Raghu lineage, having handed over the kingdom to Dilipa, he went to a beautiful summit in the Himalayas. There, he tormented himself through extremely terrible austerities. The extremely illustrious king performed austerities in the hermitage for 32,000 years. The store of austerities then went to heaven. The immensely energetic Dilipa heard about the slaughter of his grandfathers. Though he was afflicted by grief, he could not make up his mind about what should be done. How will Ganga be brought down? How will water rites be performed for them? How will they be saved? These were the profound thoughts he pondered about. With his mind immersed in Dharma, he always thought about this. He had a son named Bhagiratha who was supremely devoted to Dharma. The immensely energetic Dilipa performed many desired sacrifices. The king ruled over the kingdom for 30,000 years. However, the king could not make up his mind about how they should be shaped. O Tagaramu man, following the dharma of time, the king succumbed to disease. Because of the deeds that he had himself performed, the king went to Indra's world after the bull among men had instated his son Bhagiratha in the kingdom. O descendant of Raghu lineage, Bhagiratha was a royal sage who was devoted to Dharma. The immense and energetic one was without offspring. He didn't possess any sons and desired sons. O descendant of the Raghu lineage, for a long period of time, the king performed austerities in Gokarna. He conquered his senses. He raised up his hands and ate only once. At the end of the month, he observed the vow of the 5 fires. He engaged in these fierce austerities for 1,000 years. The illustrious Brahma, 1,000 years means 1 years. Okay, 8,000 years means 8 years. 10,000 years means 10 years. You should understand this. The illustrious Brahma, the lord of the god of all subjects, was extremely pleased. Accompanied by the large number of gods, the grandfather appeared before the great soul Bhagiratha, who was tormenting himself through austerities, and said, O Bhagiratha, O immensely fortunate one, O Lord of man, I am pleased with you. You have tormented yourself with excellent austerities. O one who is great in vows, accept a boon. O immensely energetic and immensely fortunate Bhagiratha joined his hands in salutation and spoke to the grandfather of all the worlds. O illustrious one, if you are pleased with me, and if my austerities have borne fruit, let all of Sagara's son obtain water through me. With their ashes sprinkled with the water of the Ganga, let all my great soul great grandfathers find their ultimate objective in heaven. O God, grant me offspring. There is no one in our lineage, in this lineage of the Ishwakus. This is the next boon that I ask for. Having been thus addressed, the grandfather of all the worlds replied in auspicious and sweet words, which were full of sweet syllables to the king. O Bhagiratha, O Maharatha, this desire of yours is great. O fortunate one, O extender of lineage of the Ishvakus, I shall be this way. It shall be this way. Ganga, who flows through the Himalayas, is the eldest daughter of the Himalayas. O king, the earth is incapable of withstanding the descent of the Ganga. O king, Hara has been given the task of bearing her burden. O brave one with the exception of the wielder of the trident, I do not see anyone else who can take on that burden. Sprinkling it in this way to the king, the creator of the worlds addressed Ganga with the large number of gods. The god then went to heaven. Next chapter 42, O Rama, when the gods of the gods had departed, he pressed down on the earth with his big toe and stood there, performing austerities for 1 year. When 1 year had passed, Pashupati, Uma's consort, worshipped by all the world, spoke to the king, O best among men, I am pleased with you. I will do what is agreeable to you. I will bear the daughter of the king of the mountains on my head. O Rama, the elder daughter of the Himalayas, is worshipped by all the worlds. She assumed an extremely great form with a force that is difficult to withstand. She descended from the sky on Shiva's auspicious head, having been released from there. She was confused by that mass of matted hair. The goddess roamed around there for a large number of years, O descendant of the Raghu lineage. Hara was extremely delighted at this and eventually released Ganga in the direction of Bindusara. The gods and rishis, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, and the large number of Siddhas witnessed the progress of Ganga from the sky to that spot. The gods were stationed on celestial vehicles that were like cities yoked to the best of horses and elephants. These mounts staggered at the side. The supreme descendant of Ganga on the earth was extraordinary. All the infinitely energetic gods who had assembled witnessed this. As they were surprised, the ornaments fell down from the bodies of these infinitely energetic gods and it was as if 100 suns glittered amidst the clouds in the sky. Large numbers of porpoises, serpents, and fish were agitated. It was as if flashes of lightning were streaked without the sky. Thousands of flows of foam from the water were splashed around. It was as if a flock of swans was stretched out against clouds in the autumn sky. In some places, the flow cursed speedily, in other places, it migrated along curves. In some places, the flow was humble and slow. In other places, it proceeded faster and faster. In some places, water dashed against water and rose up in torrents. It rose up in an instant and then fell down on the earth again, dislodged once. It was dislodged once again from Shankara's head on the surface of the earth. Devoid of all taints, the sprinkling water roamed freely. The large number of rishis, Gandharvas, and the residents of earth touched the sacred water released from Bhava's body. There were those who were cursed and had fallen down from the sky to earth. They were sprinkled with this water and cleansed of all sin. With their sins cleansed by the water, they regained their radiant forms. They again headed towards the sky and regained their own respective worlds. Carefully, the worldsmith sprinkled itself with that resplendent water, cleansed of sin. Everyone was delighted. Bhagirath, the royal sage, was on a celestial chariot as the immensely energetic one proceeded in front. Ganga followed him at the rear. O Rama, O the gods, the rishis, all the Daityas, Danavas, and Rakshasas, the best among Gandharvas and Yakshas, Kinnaras, and giant serpents, and all the Apsaras followed Bhagiratha's chariot. All the aquatic creatures also carefully followed Ganga. However, King Bhagiratha went, the illustrious Ganga, best among rivers, and the cleanser of all sins, followed. Next, chapter 43. The king went to the ocean and penetrated the surface of the ground, where the um, Mounds of ashes were followed by Ganga, O Rama. The ashes were sprinkled with the waters of the Ganga. Brahma, the Lord of all the worlds, spoke these words to the king, O tiger among men. Sagara's 60,000 great soul sons have been saved and will go to heaven like gods, O kings. As long as there is water in this ocean on earth, till then Sagara's son will reside in heaven like gods. This Ganga will be known as your eldest daughter. Because of your deeds, she will be famous on earth through your name. The divine Ganga with three flows will be known as Bhagirathi. Since she has three flows, she will be known as Tripathaga, O Lord of men. Perform the water rites for all your ancestors here. O King, you will thus accomplish your plague. O King, your ancestors were exceedingly illustrious. However, even though they were supremely devoted to Dharma, they could not achieve what you have, O son. In that way, Amshumat was infinitely energetic in this world. However, even he could not accomplish the plague of bringing Ganga down. Your father, Dilipa, was immensely fortunate and infinite in his energy. He was a royal sage, but like a Maharshi in his qualities, through he was established in the dharma of Kshatriyas. He was like me in austerities, O unblemished one. Even he was unable to accomplish his desire of bringing Ganga down. O bull among men, however, you have been able to accomplish your plague. You will obtain supreme worlds and fame and will be greatly revered. O destroyer of enemies, you have accomplished a task of bringing Ganga down. Because of this, you have obtained a great deal of dharma. O supreme among men, O tiger among men, you will always be able to bathe yourself in this water and purify yourself, thus obtaining sacred fruits. Now go and perform the water rites for all your ancestors. O king, may you be fortunate. I will now go to my own worlds, and so should you. The Lord of the gods, the grandfather of all the worlds, spoke in this way. After this, the immensely illustrious one went away to the world of the gods, which is where he had come from. The royal sage Bhagiratha performed the excellent water rites for the immensely illustrious sons of Sagara, as is proper, and following the due order, having purified himself by bathing in the water, the king entered his own city, O best among men, O Raghava. For the sake of prosperity, he ruled his own kingdom well, and the people were delighted to get their king back. He was devoid of sorrow and devoid of anxiety. He was prosperous and wealthy, O Rama. I have thus told you about Ganga in detail, O fortunate one. May you be safe. The time for Sandhya has passed. This account of Ganga descent, recounted by me, is blessed and bring fame long time, heaven and sons. Next chapter 44. On hearing Vishwamitra's word, Rama and Lakshmana were overcome by great wonder. Rama told Vishwamitra, O Brahmana, the account recited by you about Ganga's secret descent and the filling up of the ocean is wonderful. O Saumitri, I spent the entire night thinking about the auspicious account that you had told us when a sprinkling morning dawned after having performed the morning ablutions. Raghava, the destroyer of enemies, spoke these words to Vishwamitra, O great sage. While we heard this supreme account, the illustrious night has passed. O great ascetic, it is as if the entire night passed in a single instant. As we reflected on everything that you have told us, we now have to cross this best of rivers. O sacred river with the three flows, O illustrious one, on knowing that you have come, the rishis, the performers of auspicious deeds, have swiftly come there and have brought boats with comfortable spreads. On hearing Raghava's words, the great souled one made arrangements for crossing over. With Raghava and with the large number of rishis having reached the northern bank, they worshipped all the rishis. They saw the city of Vishala situated on the banks of the Ganga. With Raghava, the supreme among sages quickly proceeded towards the beautiful city of Vishala, which was as divine as heaven. The immensely wise Rama joined his hands in salutation and asked Vishwamitra, the great sage, about the supreme city of Vishala. O great sage, to which royal lineage does Vishala belong? O fortunate one, I am supremely curious and wish to hear about this. Hearing Rama's words, the bull among sages started to recount the ancient tale of Vishala. O Rama, listen to what I have heard. This is an auspicious account about Shakra. O Raghava, hear the truth about what happened in this region. O Rama, in ancient times, earlier in Krita Yuga, there were the extremely strong sons of Diti. Aditi had immensely fortunate and brave sons who were extremely devoted to Dharma or diagram men. Those great souled ones began to think about how they might be immortal, about how they might be without old age and without disease. O Rama, reflecting on this, those learned ones arrived at a conclusion they would churn the ocean and obtain juices from this. Having made up their minds to churn, they made Vashuki, the rope, to be used for churning. With Mount Mandara as the churning rod, those immensely energetic ones start to churn. Dhanvantari arose, and so did the immensely radiant Apsaras, O best among men, since those supreme women were generated when the juices of the water were churned. They came to be known as Apsaras. 60 crore of such immensely radiant Apsaras arose, O Kukutsa. The number of their attendants was infinite. None of the gods or the Danavas wished to accept them. Since they were not accepted, they came to be known as general women or descendant of the Raghu lineage. The immensely fortunate Varuni, Varuna's daughter, arose and began to search for the path that she should follow. O Rama, Diti's sons did not accept her. Varuna's daughter, O brave one, Diti's sons accepted that unblemished one. Thereby the Daityas come to be Asuras and Aditi's sons become Asuras. Having accepted Varuni, the Asuras were delighted and rejoiced. O best among men, Uchesrava, best among horses, arose, and so did the jewel Kostubamani. O Rama, so did the supreme Amrita, and there was a great destruction of the lineage because of that. The sons of Aditi devastated with sons of Diti, the brave sons of Aditi slaughtered Diti's sons in that great, terrible, and fierce battle that raged between the Daityas and the Adityas. When Diti's sons were slain, Pundara obtained the kingdom. Daughter, delighted, he ruled over the worlds with large numbers of rishis and charanas. Next chapter 45. When her sons was killed, Diti was extremely miserable, O Rama. She went to her husband Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, and said, O illustrious, your immensely strong sons have killed my sons. Through a long period of austerities, I wish to obtain a son who will kill Shakra. I will observe austerities, and you should grant me such a conception. I seek your permission to obtain a son who will be Indra's slayer. Hearing her words, the immensely energetic Kashyapa, Maricha's son, replied to Diti, who was supremely afflicted by grief, O fortunate one, O store of austerities, this will indeed be the case if you remain pure. You will give birth to a son who will kill Shakra in an encounter. However, you will have to remain pure for the entire duration of 1000 years, means 1 years. Through me, you will then give birth to a son who will destroy the three worlds. Having said this, the immensely energetic one touched her with his hand. Sorry, 1000 years, because this is the story of Krita Yuga. Having said this, the immensely energetic one touched her with his hand and embraced her, saying, "May you be safe." He left for his own austerities, O best among men. When he had departed, Diti was greatly delighted. She went to Kusha Kushaplavana and tormented herself through extremely terrible austerities of best among men. While she observed these austerities, the thousand-eyed one, full of supreme qualities, tended to her. The thousand-eyed one supplied her with whatever she desired: fire, kusha, grass, kindling, water, fruits, roots, and everything else. To remove her exhaustion, he massaged her body through the entire period. Shakra tended to Diti, or descendant of the Raghu lineage. Only 10 years were left for the 1000 years to be completed. Extremely happy, Diti told the one with the 1000 eyes, O supreme among valiant ones, only 10 years are left for my austerities to be complete. O fortunate one, when those are over, you will be able to see your brothers. O son, it is for your sake that I will rear him as someone who wishes for victory. O son, he will conquer the three worlds and you will be able to enjoy them with him without any anxiety. As Diti spoke in this way, the sun reached the midpoint of the sky. The goddess went to sleep with her feet placed where her head should have been. Since her feet were where her head should have been, Shakra saw that she had become impure. He was delighted to see that her head was where her feet should have been and laughed. O Rama, through that weakness, Pundara entered her body, the supremely brave, and split her embryo into 7 parts. Thus he shattered the embryo with a vajra that possessed 100 joints. O Rama, Diti wake up at the sound of the weeping and lamenting. Shakra addressed the embryo, "Do not cry, do not cry." However, having been shattered by the immensely energetic Vashava, it continued to cry. Diti exclaimed, "Do not kill it, do not kill it." To show respect to his mother's words, Shakra fell out of the body. Still holding the Vajra, Shakra joined his hands in salutation and told Diti, "O goddess, you are impure. You slept with your head in the direction that your feet should have been it. I got the chance to strike at the one who would kill Shakra in an encounter, O goddess. I shattered it into 7 fragments. You should pardon this act." Next, chapter 46. When the embryo was shattered into 7 fragments, Diti was extremely miserable. She entered the invincible and thousand-eyed one in these words: "The embryo has been shattered into 7 fragments because of my crime, O Lord of the gods, O slayer of Bala. No sin attached to you because of this. Through my embryo has been destroyed. I wish that you should do something agreeable for me. Let the 7 times 7 Maruts become guardians of different places. Let these 7 sons of mine roam around in the firmament on the shoulders of the wind. Let these sons of mine be divine in form, and let them be famous as Maruts. Let let one of them roam around in Brahma's world and another in Indra's world. Let the third and immensely illustrious one be known as the wind that blows through the firmament, O best among the gods. Let the fourth follow your command and roam around in the directions. Let the name Maruts be given by you, and let them be known as this." Hearing her words, the thousand-eyed Purandara joined his hands in salutation. Bala's slayer spoke the following words to Diti. There is no doubt that everything will occur exactly as you have spoken, O fortunate one. Your son will roam around in the form of gods. This is what mother and son decided in that hermitage, O Rama. Having been successful, we have heard that they proceeded to heaven, O Kukucha. In ancient times, this is the country where the great Indra used to reside. This is where Diti obtained success in her austerities and he tended to her. O tiger among men, Ishvaku had a son who was extremely devoted to Dharma. His mother was Alambusha and he was famous as Vishala. In this spot, he is the one who constructed the city of Vishala or Rama. Vishala's son was the immensely strong Himachandra. After this, Himachandra's son was the famous Suchandra or Rama. Suchandra's son was famous by the name of Dhumrashava. Dhumrashava had a son named Srinjaya. Srinjaya's son was the handsome and powerful Sadeva. Kushadeva was Sadeva's son and he was extremely devoted to Dharma. Kushashava's had a greatly energetic and powerful son, Somadatta. Somadatta's son was known as Kukutsa. His son is greatly famous and invincible. The immensely energetic one is named Sumati, and he is the one who now resided in this city. Through Ishvaku's favor, all the kings of Vishala are great, souled, valiant, and extremely devoted to Dharma. They have long lives, O Rama. We will happily spend the night here, O best among men. Tomorrow, when it is morning, we should see Janaka. The immensely energetic and greatly illustrious Sumati heard the Vishwamitra had come. On hearing this, the best among men came out to welcome him. With his priest and relatives, he worshipped him in excellent ways. Asking about his welfare, he joined his hands in salutation and told Vishwamitra, O sage, I am blessed that you have shown me your favors by coming to my kingdom. I have now seen you, there is no one who is more fortunate than I am. Next chapter 47.